Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
and beer.
And beer. Just two crazy Florida men and one crazy California man drinking beer and talking about true crime.
Hooah!
And joining us once again is Matthew Brockmeyer from the Mighty Murder Coaster podcast.
Woo!
Well, that was quite the introduction. Thank you very much. Howdy, ladies and gentlemen.
Our studio audience, that we pay them well.
Yes.
They sound hungry.
Anyway, I'm Bill.
And I'm Paul.
And
I'm Matthew.
And that's Matt over there, man.
Hello, everybody.
And that is Paul. And that is Matt.
It's like the Brady Bunch squares here.
Yeah.
This is the story
You gotta do the looking up and
of
looking
the
down.
California rapist who was raping.
Ding, ding.
There's a family tree you don't want to be in.
Yeah. Right? I was about to play a gong hit, but a gong hit.
I'll do a bong hit. We'll make it even.
That'll work. Anyway, tonight we're not talking about a cult. We're not talking about an internet troll. We're not talking about a jilted porn star. We're not talking about zombies or even a serial killer. But we are talking about a cereal, though. Because tonight we're talking about the history of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. The beloved breakfast cereal with its lovable mascot, Tony the Tiger, has become a staple in the United States and is a favorite of kids and adults alike worldwide. But it has a dark side and a history littered with corruption, scandal, and moida.
Right.
Or I'm full of shit.
Well, this is so weird because I just did Honey Smacks. We did because did you listen to that episode? No, we did the clown that was on the original thing was murdered by a heroin addicted prostitute in his hotel room while the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus was playing in Madison Square Garden.
Wow. I know.
This is so crazy. I can't believe he's talking about this. I just talked about this the other day.
I remembered that. That's why I threw that in there.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow.
Yeah. I'm full of shit.
You're just going right over my fucking head, Bill. You just fucking. I'm like, what is going on, man? I shouldn't have smoked so much weed. I don't know what the hell is happening.
Like, I thought we were talking about a rapist. But
I'm like, this is getting. Wow. I didn't know Tony the Tiger was a rapist. It's great.
Oh, man. Yeah, anyway. We are talking about a serial rapist. And a very prolific one at that. Roy Charles Waller, the NorCal Rapist. He was born January 8th, 1960 in Contra Costa County, California. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Jesus.
Contra Costa County.
Contra
Costa County?
I drive through it all the time, so I guess I'm used to it.
It's a cool name, though. It's a cool name for a county.
I love all the names in California. They're all, mostly Spanish.
Yeah. But he was convicted in 2020 of 46 counts of rape, kidnapping, and sodomy, but among other things, between 1991 and 2006 in multiple California counties. He had 10 plus victims. There are probably a lot more that we don't know about. This is another case like BTK and Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, where after years after the crime spree ended, he was brought in due to familial DNA. His last known rape was in 2006, but he wasn't arrested until 2016 or 2018, meaning that he got away with it for 27 years. So, but he didn't go offering police floppy disks or anything like that.
Like Samuel Little as well. He's the same exact way.
But sources are the documentary episode of Very Scary People called The Phantom Predator, investigationdiscovery.com, kcra.com, cnn.com, abc10.com, and a little bit of wiki.
Okay.
There's not much at all that I could find about his childhood. But he was a safety specialist at University of California, Berkeley at the time of his arrest, and he had been at that job for 26 years. And he was also married and had a daughter.
I don't know how people with daughters can do crimes like that, but BTK had a daughter, Green River Killer had a daughter. I don't know how they do that shit. It's fucked up. Because I have a daughter, and now it's really it's a game. You have a daughter, I know as well, and it kind of changes you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
I get to host teenage girl sleepovers at least twice a month. So much fun.
We have those, but I just lock myself in my room and do not come out.
My studio is in my living room, so and I don't have a designated room.
Gather round, girls. We're going to talk about the Northern California Rapist. Just what you want to hear about.
One time, one of my daughter's friends, her dad, it's also a same situation like I'm in, single dad with custody of a teenage daughter. It's the same situation with her friend, and her dad was dropping her off one day for a weekend sleepover.
Sounds like trouble.
And he says,
him and Bill are gonna get fucking hammered together.
So he's like, well, I'm on my way to a party, and he's like, good luck. And I said, can I come with you?
Call the babysitter.
Yeah, right.
It's Dad's night out.
But so, did you find anything about his childhood? Because I can't.
I didn't look. I don't know anything about this guy. I have never heard of him before. This is all brand new to me. I'm going to get educated about this guy who's kind of near me.
So, okay. Well, since I looked. I couldn't find anything about his childhood. So we don't know if he was at a reform school for white boys.
I don't know if they called him that in California. That might be a South Carolina institution.
Yeah. But this is just my observation. But his rape spree started around the time that, just before he started his job at the university.
Now, what was the first rape? What year was the first rape?
91.
90.
Oh, okay. So this is way late. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought it might have been during, some of the Berkeley's obviously notorious as a hotbed for like crazy left wing, rallies and takeovers and marches and stuff like that.
But he didn't do anything at the university.
But by 91 in Berkeley was an epic year for punk rock. The Gilmore Street, do you know that place? Green Day was just coming out. Rancid, all those are Berkeley bands, and they all played at this small little place there. You have to become a member to go in. It's like super punk rock, really cool.
Wow,
that's cool.
But yeah, so that was exploding there at that time.
So we don't know what he was doing during his spree either. So we're just going to jump right into the first murder. Because I seriously doubt he hasn't written a tell-all autobiography yet. But
you mean rape?
Huh?
You said murder.
Oh,
right.
I'm
sexual assault.
I'm used to saying murder.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. What are your credentials? Theft, rape, murder, and rape. You said rape twice. I like rape. Oh man.
I'm afraid that you're not here with the therapist. I'm the rapist.
What was that from?
I don't know. It's the old thing. I used to be really good friends with this therapist. She was on my show for a while in the beginning. I used to always say, she'd be like, "I'm psychotherapist," and I'm like, "I'm psycho the rapist." It's an old one. It's old.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, well, mine was from Blazing Saddles.
They just played that here at the movie theater the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I want to host a movie screening at a university in California of Blazing Saddles.
It was right next to the university. There's a lot of college kids there.
Well, damn it, somebody took. I've said
And
this
it's
on
like
the
the most liberal fucking place too.
I know.
Like, I think
Wow.
I think people were able to laugh at that one for some reason. I think that one gets a pass a lot. That's like one of those things where you see a meme where people are like, the liberals hate this movie. And then if you actually go out, you won't really see a left-leaning person who says they hate it. I can't remember anybody. It's usually just laughed at. It's not like Mel Brooks is some kind of bastion of the right, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, he's not.
It's meant to be mocking, and I think
Yeah,
it's an
illustrating.
anti-racist movie.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
illustrating absurdity by being absurd.
Yeah.
Totally
Uh,
breaks
anyway.
down the fourth wall and everything. They
Mhm.
go into this film studio, throwing pies.
June of 1981, 21-year-old Nicole Ernest Pate was a hairstylist, and she was doing very well. And she owned a condo. She actually owned a condo in Rohnert Park, which is 30 miles north of San Francisco. She had just broken up with a live-in boyfriend, and she had placed an ad for a roommate in the paper, but put a knife in that. She had come home from a very busy day at work, and she had just fallen asleep on the couch, and she woke up to a man wearing a mask with her. He put her in a headlock, and he told her he had a gun and to be quiet, and if she cooperated, he wasn't going to hurt her. He said they just wanted her money. So Nicole cooperated, and he took her upstairs, and he ordered her to get on the bed face down. He tied her up with duct tape, and he was meticulous, making sure that her hair didn't get caught in the duct tape.
Hmm.
We got a courteous rapist here.
Wow.
But he then taped her mouth shut and put a pillowcase over her head. Then started going through her things. And at this point, Nicole still thought that he was just going to rob her.
Do you think he could have been like looking at her like a doll, like an object, by like, oh, I don't want to get the hair in there. Like you would like something like an inanimate object you would treat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't really go too much into this in the notes, but on the documentary, they kept making a point where he believed that he was in, I mean, I touched on this a little bit, but they were making a really big deal about it. Like he believed that he was actually in a relationship with these women. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't know if I buy that or not.
There was another rapist like that in Southern California who would do the same. It was like the same way. He was very tender, very sweet. He wore like a Lone Ranger mask, and he had like a name like that, like the mask rapist or something, the rape bandit, something like that, because he had like this old timey bandit look to him. It was just like that. Where he was
that one.
Yeah, it's kind of famous because the detective who caught him is famous in the true crime world. But you know what? It's a rabbit hole. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there.
But he then revealed that he had been in her house before because he said he was looking for a specific item that had been there, and it was something that had been borrowed from somebody, and then she had returned it to its owner.
So it was an actual thing. It wasn't a psychotic delusion.
No, he had been in her house before, and he saw this particular item. He saw this particular item. He was like, "Where is this?" And it didn't say what it was in the documentary because at the time the case was still, being tried, and they couldn't release what that item was. But I'm guessing it was
still terrifying, man. Can you imagine realizing that he'd been there before? Holy shit!
Well, that's part of how he stalked his victims.
His MO.
He was in every single house prior to when he actually made the attack.
Joseph D'Angelo would go in the houses and hide rope and shit. So like when he came in, he would like just reach into the sofa and pull out rope, and the victims would be like, "Holy shit, dude! Like he's got shit stashed in the house."
It's almost like Israel Keys burying the 5-gallon bucket kill kits all throughout the country.
Wow,
so creepy, man.
Huh.
But that was when she realized, oh my God, this son of a bitch has been in my house before. But this was part of his MO, like BTK, like Derek Todd Lee, Sean Mullis, and many others, as far as stalking before the kill, or in this case, rape. The man then turned on music saying that all this comes verbatim from Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
The man then turned on music saying that the songs could be their love songs, and there was, this is something different than what I've seen before. I mean, Roy Waller gets emotionally involved as he stalks these women, believing that he's in a relationship with them, like they owe him something for the time that he's invested in stalking them.
Wow.
It's sick. And I don't know if that's true or not, but but they kept going back to it in the documentary. But although he's not suspected in any murders, I'm sure that he is a serial killer as well, which we'll get into later on in the episode. I have my suspicions. And finally, he turned Nicole over. He took her clothes off and brutally raped her many times during the night. He didn't kill her, thankfully, but he took her debit card. And when he was leaving, he said, "What?
You should probably lock your doors from now on. Someone could come in and hurt you."
What an asshole.
He's got a point, though.
He does have a point. And he left, and to this day, obviously, Nicole is haunted by this years later. But when she went to the police, they didn't believe her, and they accused her of making the story up.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah. This didn't break her, but for years she was always looking over her shoulder, like, what if this dude came back?
Yeah.
And
I'd do it too. Shit.
Yeah. December December 1991 in Sonoma, California, just 20 miles from Rohnert Park, a 42-year-old woman woke up early in the morning by a masked man with a gun. She was tied up and raped twice. He then drove her to an ATM and forced her to give him money, and then he just took her back to her house and dropped her off.
Huh.
Oh, he broke into say it again. He broke into her house, raped her, then took her out to the bank.
Yep.
And then just dropped her off.
And then just dropped her off. Hey, had a lovely time.
I know it's interesting. It's just interesting to me that, all right, he raped her and then he took her to the bank. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Well,
a lot of times people don't, when they start to become sexually active criminals, the burglary element becomes less and less. You know what I mean? They take less and less. That becomes less of a like with Richard Ramirez or Joseph D'Angelo as well. Like, you know, like, but this guy actually.
Well, with him, it's a power move. And if you think about it, if he were to take her to the bank before he raped her, because she's still got some, she might still have some fight in her. And like if it's before, so he rapes her, she's defeated, so she's more likely to comply. Yeah, she's more likely to comply. Yeah, and not make a scene.
Wow.
And one thing we're going to find out about this chucklehead is that he's very intelligent. He's meticulous in his planning. Yeah. Although he was also
this isn't some guy in an alley. You know what I mean? He just jumps a woman like in an alley, this is different type of creature.
But he left DNA. DNA was taken, and the victim said that she felt like he had been stalking her because he knew things about her, which he had been in her house.
So is he from that? You don't know, like Sonoma, Marin, because he's living down there in Berkeley, and he's driving a good couple hours up north.
Let me go to the end where it says where he was from. It starts with an S. Where the hell is it? Benicia.
Benicia, where the fuck is that? What county is that in?
I don't know. Possibly YOLO. I don't know. It's Benicia.
Right. I know that.
It's got to be near UC Berkeley. You would think, anyway.
Oh, it's like Martinez. Oh, it's right down there in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Okay,
it's right. He's right there. It's right there, and like it's right next to Berkeley. Pretty much. It's right by the it's by Vallejo, by the Richmond Bridge. Yeah, that's right. It's like right by Martinez.
Well, Martinez comes up in this later.
Yeah, it's like the Bay Area, the East Bay, Berkeley.
Okay. February 13th in 1992 in Vallejo, just 23 miles from Sonoma.
It's by Six Flags.
Teresa Lane was attacked, and she lived alone, and she was training to be a firefighter and an EMT, and she was working for FedEx. It was around 8:30 a.m., and she got up, and she found a man dressed in all black and a ski mask in her bathroom. Teresa ran, but he caught her, and he threw her on the bed, jumped on top of her. She fought him, and he pulled out a knife, and she grabbed it, and she actually wound up cutting the man. And this angered him because how dare she try to defend herself?
How dare you?
This is a fucking horror movie. You think he was in the shower? You think she opened the shower curtain and he's fucking standing there? I mean, that's like a trope in a horror movie, man. It is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, there's several scenes right out of a horror film in this. I mean, this is a new case. This is a relatively recent case. So
very recent.
So, but it's very possible that the I don't know. I don't think any of these, like, there's something reminiscent of Psycho that he does. Then there's this. There's I'm not gonna give any spoilers.
All right, let's go. I'm sorry, I'm slowing you down. This is just fascinating.
No, it's a very fascinating case. That's why when I stumbled on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. But he finally subdued her, tied her up, and raped her 3 times. And she even at one point told her, "Just kill me and get it over with." Now, talk about horror movie. When he was done, he still had her tied up. He took a shower and even used her hairbrush, which he then jammed into his asshole.
What?
Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut up.
I'm kidding. I added that part. I had to. Because
got some inside jokes here. No one's gonna even. Someone's gonna know. People are gonna know. People are gonna know.
Any fans of Time Suck will know. But no, he did use her hairbrush though.
That's so weird because he's staring. Not only when you're using the brush, not only are you taking something intimate of hers and using it, but you're staring in the mirror. He's staring in the mirror with her thing. It's fucking. How can you even look at yourself like when you're a piece of shit like that? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
It just shows you the psychopath as a person. Like a normal person would be filled with guilt. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even remorse. They wouldn't even be able to look at themselves.
But he just brushed her hair, and that leaves even more DNA than what was already there.
Right. Well, this is 91. DNA is still really new.
It's still really new, but they've been collecting it. They've been collecting it since the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. But OJ was pretty much the first big case that used DNA.
Yeah.
I know about the first cases that did use DNA. The very first one was in England. Do you know about that? The first murder case to use DNA to solve it. It's English. Very fascinating case. Because this guy, the guilty party, actually went to the bar and asked some drunk dude to give him his DNA. And he did. And so then they thought it was like this. It's very complicated. And then there was a serial killer in like Georgia in the... That was the first one in America. You know about that story? There's a great podcast on it. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry.
No worries. Digressing. This is a digressing friendly podcast.
DNA is new. Is all we're getting at. Yeah, it was 1991.
Right. Well, we're in 92 now.
But
he even went through her things and he grabbed her phone book. Not like the phone book that they published, but the ones where she just had her numbers in. He went through it and he's saying, if you call the police, I'm going to call this person and I'm going to find out where they live and I'm going to go do something to them if you call the police. He then ripped the necklace off of Teresa's neck. And this whole ordeal was over 6 hours long. And just like before, he just left.
Huh.
But Teresa did call the police, who found that he had, get this, he had cut a hole through the drywall in her garage, stuck his hand through the hole, and unlocked the door.
What? Ah, so her door was locked.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to go through the exterior of the wall.
Unless, well, it depends on how new the house is. Some people just cheap that, but still, you're right. I mean, he may have had to do that.
He might have just been able to pry a piece of sheeting off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ramirez was able to get his hand into a fucking cat door, and his arms and his fingers are so long. He's like something out of a X-Files episode, like one of those creatures you can like break their joints apart and stretch his arm like an impossibly long distance up and unlock this one lock with his, his body like crushed through the fucking cat door.
Or like Jodi Arias, she got through a cat door.
Yes. I think that was an actual dog door. That was a dog door.
Oh.
Yeah, but she just walked through the dog door. She was a little dog herself, wasn't she?
Yeah. I would swipe right on Prison Tender for her.
Yeah, you think she's cute. Yeah, she's wild. Wow.
Hey,
she's gonna take you for a while.
I still maintain.
I don't know if I could keep up with her.
I still maintain that if Travis, what's his name, hadn't been such a gaslighting piece of shit douchebag to her and just totally hadn't just turned her mind to mush, he would still be alive.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
That's a hot take, and nobody deserves to die. But still, this guy kind of.
Don't get me started on Mormons either. They're just. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying I know. Like, I'm sure there's lots of great Mormons and they can be good people, but it's just anything that involves them with true crime is just always so strange and fucking weird, and like it's.
But he had likely done made the cut days before when she wasn't home, because cutting through the drywall would have been noticed if she was home. She would have heard it. But he probably left more DNA there at this one than any rapist in the history of the world.
Part 1.
Did you know that Mel Brooks made a History of the World Part 2?
Yeah, but it's fairly recent, right?
Yeah, it was like last year. It was a TV series. It was pretty good.
It was good.
There was one recurring bit that was kind of boring, and it was the one about the politician.
I can't even remember, man.
But the rest of it was
watched
great.
all of it. Yeah.
Huh.
And his son's a horror writer now. He wrote the zombie thing. What the hell? They made it into a movie with Brad Pitt. It's like a
World War
zombie
Z.
diary
World
thing.
War.
Yeah, World War Z. That's
shit.
his son wrote that. And then he just recently wrote a horror book about Bigfoot too.
Oh wow! But then
Max is his name. Max Brooks.
Max Brooks. That's right.
Maximum writer. Brooks. Maximus.
World War Z is actually a really cool book. It's very interesting. It's not like the movie.
Maximus Brooksimus.
I just saw Furiosa. That's what his name would have been there. Yeah.
But then Waller. I'm just going to keep calling him Waller. I'm not just going to call him the man, because we know who he is. He had a cooling off period for 4 years, and there were no reported rapes in Northern California.
Somebody that brazen, dude.
Well, hold on. But there were no reported rapes in Northern California that matched the MO of the first 3 rapes. Personally, I think that he either went elsewhere or switched up his MO, and maybe at this point he was killing victims and burying them.
Yeah, he's in Berkeley, and he's driving a couple hours north to get up into Marin and Sonoma. So did they check down south? Southern San Francisco, fucking Silicon Valley, all down in there? He might have just turned around and gone the opposite direction. Yeah,
and maybe some of the things that he did could have gotten pinned on somebody else.
Because, like, in the end, don't they, like, a lot of killers are caught, they'll take all the victims and put them out, and they're like, well, he lives right there, and we're in the middle of, he's going out in all these directions.
Well, he's getting farther and farther away. He's getting farther and farther away with each rape that he commits at this point. But I don't know. I'll get into more why I think that he might also be a serial killer later on. Well, like in a bad horror movie on Halloween 1996 in Martinez, just 12 hours from Vallejo, a woman was alone in her house, just sitting on the couch when the doorbell rang. A little late for trick-or-treaters, but still not that much out of the norm. I mean, it was Halloween.
It's pretty late.
It's pretty late, but still. She opened the door, and there was a man wearing all black, wearing a hoodie with the hood up and a skull mask.
Fucking hell, man.
He pounced, and he shoved her into the house and shut the door. He tied her up, and he raped her multiple times. And this time, when he was done, he took bed sheets and anything else that he thought that he had left DNA on, and he stole her debit card. And when he went to the ATM, he was caught on camera wearing a Halloween mask.
Okay, what year was this one again? How many? This was
96.
96.
96.
All those years.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he wasn't finished with this woman. A couple weeks later, he called up the victim on her at her job, and what do you think he said to her? Just take a guess.
I see
Keep your
you.
doors locked. Is that what he said? I see you.
I don't know. That was a guess.
That was a good guess.
He said he was sorry for attacking her.
Oh, Jesus.
I bet you she forgave him.
Oh, okay, yeah. They went out for coffee, and
they've been happily married now for 35 years. Have proud grandparents.
Yeah. But this, I mean, this was another attack, a psychological one. He's letting her know that not only that he hasn't forgotten about her, but he also knows her schedule.
Ooh. Yeah, he sees her. He's watching her.
Well, he's not that far away. Berkeley's really close to Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one he kind of backtracked a little bit.
Yeah, he's in his own neck of the woods. That's dangerous. A dangerous move in a way.
But despite his efforts to clean it up, DNA was left behind, and they made the connection that it matched the DNA collected at the other rape scenes. They also knew that these 4 assaults had similar MOs, but now they had the evidence that this was a serial rapist. Waller had mastered stalking. He knew their every move to the point to where he could be 100% sure that he would have hours alone with the victim. And in the case of Nicole, the first one, that was in a condo building. So he not only had to know her schedule, but her neighbors' schedules as well.
Sometimes they get off even more on the stalking than they do in the actual rape. They'll say like the rape is actually a letdown, and it was like the all the fucking chemicals going off in their brain while they were doing the actual stalking. Yeah. Gave them like the most pleasure.
Well, like Deep Purple says, and knocking at your back door, it's not the kill, it's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
Great song, by the way. Oh, fucked up lyrics though. One time I did that song at a karaoke bar for the first time. I didn't know the words to the song. I mean, I knew, and I'm up there singing it and everything, and I get to start there reading these lyrics, and I just on stage I'm just cracking up. I couldn't. It's like they got a freaking crew of anal seducers or whatever. I was just like, is this really the lyrics?
I remember getting the lyrics to Bullet by the Misfits for the first time and just being like, this song's about force feeding your semen to Jackie O. Like what? Like I didn't know that. I thought it was a political song.
Well, it could be Jackie O. She's a politician's wife.
Well, yeah, it's like President. You can hear him say, "President Kennedy's shattered head hits concrete," and then it gets a little weird. He's saying, "Like, yeah."
But anyway,
masturbate me, masturbate me.
But not only that, he knew what he was doing. In that he was bouncing around from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, making it harder for police. Yeah, and also the fact that there was literally nothing linking these women together. These are stranger rapes, which are rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are far more serial killers than there are serial rapists.
And is that true? That's not true, is it?
Well,
I think there's a lot more serial
if
rapists than serial killers, isn't there?
if random stranger things are so rare, when a rape occurs, usually it's by somebody that the victim knows. This guy didn't know any of them.
Right.
So
I think most serial rapists that are like you're talking about unknown, they're just on the lead up to becoming a serial killer often,
yeah.
But I mean, fuck.
January 25th, 1997 in Davis, California. That's a good distance east of Roanoke Park.
It's the exact opposite. It's that's east, and Roanoke Park is dead north.
Yeah.
So now he's going east instead of north.
Mm-hmm. But Waller strikes again. But this one's very different from the other four. This time it's two women who are roommates.
Wow.
They heard a noise in the house, but didn't think anything of it. They both went to sleep, and Waller waited and crept upstairs, tied up the first woman. They tied up the second. He then put a blanket over the bedroom windows. There was lots of setup here, probably because he had two victims, and that was much more risky.
Right.
But he violently raped both women, stole one of their debit cards, and literally forced her to give him the pen.
I think this guy's like got a huge fantasy life, man. Like, the idea of pulling, like, a lot of times these guys call them doubles. I've seen a lot of different people say that, like, even Gacy would say that, a double.
Yeah.
Fucking, it builds up in your mind, like, I'm going to do a double, and, like, and it's this whole fantasy that he's living out. I really want to know about this guy's childhood.
Yeah, I do too. Because something had to happen.
Well, usually there's a figure that you're raping. It's like a archetype that's in your mind. You know what I mean? Like their mother or like, in Bundy's case, like an old girlfriend or something like that.
What right here coming up right now, puts that to shame. Puts that to rest because, his first three victims were white. The fourth and these current two victims and every victim that he had after that were Asians. And I don't think that he was particularly attracted to Asians, but remember, his third victim had fought him and cut him with his own knife.
Yeah, but he's stalking them. It's not like it's some random lady who walks up.
Right, but...
Or like Ramirez, where he's going to a random house. He doesn't even know who's in there. He's chosen them.
But I'm not being stereotypical or racist or anything like that. But when you think of an Asian woman, what type of frame do you usually think of? Small, petite, weighs about 120 pounds soaking wet.
So you're thinking that it was a matter of they were more defenseless.
Mm-hmm.
That they were easier to subdue,
easier targets.
Easier targets.
Hoping they didn't know martial arts.
Yeah, right.
That would be a cool karate mom.
Oh yeah, 5-finger death punch.
Oh, we got a badass bitch coming up.
Oh, good. I like them.
Yeah, me too. And she was Asian. The police sent letters to all of the banks of the victims asking for records on when and where the cards were being used. And they pinned down locations, and that was how they found out that he had used a Halloween mask when he used that one victim's card. July 18th, 1997, in Chico, 100 miles north of Davis, 21-year-old, this is the badass bitch, 21-year-old Maki Anderson was a college student at Chico State. And she was a counselor there, and she lived alone in an apartment. She had just broken up with her very first boyfriend. And I'm sure that Waller knew this.
Dude, that Chico is so far from Berkeley, and he's got a full-time job in Berkeley, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably doing this on weekends.
This must be like his straight hobby, yeah.
Well, this is July. This is July. School's out.
School's out.
Yeah, but he doesn't. What does he do again? He's not.
He's a tech specialist or something like that, or maintenance tech.
There's still school. If he's in maintenance, school's still in. There's still summer school. He's not. You know what I mean? The campus isn't inactive in the summer.
Could have been weekend. Could have been a weekend.
It must be in his whole life. Because think about the hours and time just in driving. All this shit, dude.
Well, look at
This is his life, man.
This
This
guy,
is his fucking
this
existence. But he's
this
married and has a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a busy motherfucker.
Well, this guy is like, other than not so much the fact that he's married and has a daughter, but David Carpenter, the Trailside Killer, this guy, he was all over the place. Yeah, he went miles and miles and miles and miles away. He went from like Northern California all the way down to San Diego.
So did Joseph D'Angelo too.
Yeah, well, we haven't covered him yet.
But he's one of the scariest of all. He really terrifies me.
Mm-hmm.
Great podcast on him called the Face in the Window. It's amazing. Just him, it's like just him.
Yeah, it's kind of like true crime bullshit.
Yeah, and the lady who does it's like a New York Times like fucking writer, and she's like really thorough and good, and very victim centered. Yeah, she interviews all the victims.
But yeah, I'm sure that Waller knew that she had just broken up with her boyfriend, and so that's how he knew that she would be alone. But she would come home and notice things weren't exactly how she had left them.
Fuck.
Nothing missing, nothing messed up, but just not how she had left them. And she actually thought that it was her ex, and I can see why she thought that.
Well, a lot of people have told me this before, but they were all on meth.
Who?
People were like, "There's someone breaking in my house and moving my stuff around." I've seriously had people tell me that. I swear there's someone breaking in my house and moving all my things around. I left the magazine over there; it's not there. I was like, "You need to go to treatment. You need help."
But this
she
also,
was right.
Yeah, this also.
Sorry.
This could also be why he was less careful there than he had been before when he was stalking previous victims. Oh, she's just going to blame it on the boyfriend.
Yeah.
So that night, oh God, that night she and her sister had been at a bar, ironically called The Bear.
There you go. I was going to say bear a couple of times.
Well, it's just.
Well, bears will attack people, but they don't stalk them for days and put holes through their drywall so they can creep into their house at night first.
But it goes back to that meme that was going around last month that was triggering all the
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it was ironic that they were.
We've been talking about it on our podcast too.
Yeah. Yeah. When we when we're covering this guy, right now in this point in history, she was at a bar called The Bear. And then she comes home and gets attacked by a man. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Safer.
Yeah, the bear is safer.
It's the truth. I don't understand how people were so offended by that. I was like,
I don't either.
Yeah, duh. Like, what? If someone said to me, "I'd rather see a bear than you," I'd be like, "Well, that's kind of mean." But I never felt like they were talking about me personally. You know what I mean? I was just like some random guy. I think I'd almost rather see a bear than some random guy.
Same. Maybe even some woman. I mean, like an Eileen Wuornos type.
Right? You don't know.
I don't want to run into Eileen Wuornos in the woods. I'd rather encounter a bear than Eileen Wuornos.
Oh, yeah.
Or Catherine Knight.
I don't know. Maybe when she was 18 and drinking a Pabst Blue Ribbon, she may have been fun. Of course, she had the fire completely fucked out of her. Poor Eileen.
Yeah. Oh, when we cover Eileen Wuornos, we're gonna try and do a remote recording at the bar that.
I was about to say that you should go to. That's some awesome, dude. Yeah. I mean, you could do a really cool podcast and try to dig up some of the people if they're still around and everything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to do it during Bike Week too.
That's awesome.
But just give us a table in the corner or whatever. We don't need to, we don't need a PA system. If people want to come up and ask us questions, they want to come look or listen, they can. I mean, we're not going to do a event unless they want us to do a live event. Then we'll do a live event. But I think it would be cool to shoot it from there.
People are weird. I mean, that bar right there, cool. They have a little monument to her and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But when I was doing Wayne Adam Ford, I went up to the bar where he was the night before he was arrested, right? The night before he turned himself in. and the bar was closed, but I went to the little cabin next to it where he lived. I went to I didn't even go near it. I was like literally 40 or 50 feet away, but I had parked and was just like kind of like standing there looking around, taking in the atmosphere. And the fucking door, and it's cabin 0 too.
Yeah.
And so the door to cabin 0 opens up, and this guy, what the fuck do you want? And I was like, just taking in the atmosphere, looking around. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And guy was wearing like a tie-dye. So I was like, oh, he's like a hippie. Hippies love me. So I was like, he's probably cool. I went over to him. I'm like, I'm actually researching. And I should have said, I'm researching the history of this cabin because it used to be a barber shop. But instead I was like, I'm researching Wayne Adam Ford. And he's like, he don't fucking live here anymore. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know that. And he's like,
he had obviously got a bunch of people knocking on that door.
You think? I don't know, but he told me to fucking get the fuck out, and then he was going to call the manager and everything else. And
so he was a Karen.
Damn, dude.
Hippie
He was
Karen.
like a toothless meth head hippie Karen. Kind of shit like that. It was funny because when you read about it, they're always like, and cabin 0 was the worst cabin in the place, the cheapest cabin in the. And, you're like. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, she got home from the bear, and then she thought that she saw a face in the window, which is one of the scariest things that you can put in a movie.
Yeah.
But she ignored it, went to bed thinking that she was just seeing things. I mean, she'd been drinking after all.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple hours later, she was woke up by a hand covering her mouth and a gun to her head. And he told her to stay quiet or he'd kill her. He tied her up, but she flexed her muscles in her wrists, giving her a little bit of wiggle room.
Houdini move, classic.
Yep. He taped her eyes and mouth, and then started going through her things. She tried to get the roops. The
Rubs, man. Rubs.
The roops. She's
the loops of rope free.
Exactly. Do you have my notes? Because that's like the third or fourth time. But
Vulcan mind meld.
But she tried to get the ropes loose because of the wiggle room that she had left, and she got loose. But Waller came back and saw that she was escaping, so he tied them tighter, and he was angry. And once again, how dare she try to escape an assault?
She's a lot of nerve.
Yeah, the nerve of these people. I'm the considerate rapist, and you're being mean to me.
Considerate rapist. That is so creepy sounding. Ugh.
She had actually gotten the tape off of her eyes and free yet again, and he came back into the room, and she saw his face, and she said, "What?"
She said, "You'd better run. I'm gonna get you. You'd better leave."
So Waller charged at Maki and pounced on her.
What did he say?
I just told Paul just told you.
Oh, that is what he said. Okay, I thought he was guessing again.
That's what she said to him.
Oh, she said you better leave. Right,
she said that to him. I've seen you, motherfucker. So Waller charged at Maki, and she, and pounced on her. And then, going back to our Peter Curtin episode, she grabbed a pair of what, Matt?
Beers. Scissors.
That was on her nightstand, and she stabbed him with it. That pissed Waller off even more. He began getting violent with her, and she told him that she was pregnant and begged him not to hurt the baby. That worked. He did sexually assault Maki, but he didn't rape her, meaning just the roughing up that she had done and the psychological stuff, but there was no forced sex.
There was no vaginal rape, but there was sexual assault.
Right, and I don't even think he had taken her clothes off. But Maki Anderson was a lot of things, but one thing that she wasn't was pregnant. She had made that up, hoping that he would show some humanity, and her ruse succeeded. But Waller stated,
"That is interesting, that he has that tiny, tiny bit of humanity,
just a little bit, yeah."
Yeah.
Well, like you were saying earlier, he's got a daughter. So maybe he thought about his daughter at that point.
Man,
like being a baby, like cradling his little baby.
D'Angelo stopped killing when his granddaughter was born. It's serious.
I believe it.
I mean, I don't know if it was just, coincidence because his testosterone had gone down at that point. He's a grandfather. He's just old. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of this is sexually driven. Your sex drive stuff, or it caused some. When it was like the Grinch, his heart grew 1, 2, 3 times or whatever.
Yeah. But he stayed at her place for hours going through her things, and he would leave her alone for extended periods of time as he was ransacking her place, and she was able to get free once again. She climbed out the window, ran to get help, and by now it's morning, so she went to the apartment complex's office where they called the police. Police arrived quickly, but Waller was long gone. Maki was able to give them a good enough description to make a really good composite sketch.
This is out in Chico, right?
Yeah. Like I said, badass bitch right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Good on her.
Yeah. So now they have a credible sketch, not to mention Waller's blood that was on the scissors from when he stabbed her. And of course, the DNA matched with the other rapes. But one thing that makes a serial rapist somewhat more diabolical than a serial killer is that the survivor has to live in fear that the guy could be anywhere and attack again at any time.
Yeah.
And but still, Waller thinks he's bulletproof and he's getting sloppy, but he's about to escalate. July of 2000, back in Davis, California.
This is 9 years since the first one.
Mm-hmm. But there was a 4-year cooling off period where, well, we'll get to that. A 22-year-old college student, and some of these women, because for the breakdowns of these murders, for the breakdowns of these rapes, I used the documentary a lot. Because you just can't find the grim details in anything that I found online, articles or whatever about him. But in the documentary, they have it's like this next one, a 22-year-old college student. It doesn't have the name because when that documentary was made, the case was still ongoing, and some people had to be left out of it for whatever reason. And they were left out of the documentary, so I wasn't going to dig up any research and name their names. I'm just looking at it from, maybe they don't want their name out there,
Absolutely. If they don't want to be named, definitely don't name them.
Unless you're a Canadian cult leader.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the assholes. I'm talking about the victims.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying
the assholes.
well, in that book, they left out the names of the Canadian, of the cult leaders. Yeah, so fuck that. I found the names and I used them. But her roommates had left for the weekend and she heard noises upstairs and went to investigate. And she grabbed the what, Matt? Scissors. And went upstairs. In this episode, the good guys like the scissors.
Yeah. She was going to get the safety scissors, but they were pointless.
Yeah.
Oh, God. She went into one of her roommates' rooms, and Waller, dressed in black, wearing a ski mask, pointed on her and tied her up.
Ugh.
She told him that her roommates would be coming home, which seemed to make him change strategy. He scooped her up and carried her to her car and took off with her in it. It could be that he knew that the roommates were out of town, depending on how long he had stalked her. But just kind of also lends credence to he doesn't know for sure if she's lying. Maybe I tend to think that he knew that the roommates were out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really easy for him to figure out if he's that meticulous when he's in the house.
I don't think he would have gone in there if he didn't know that they were out of town. But
or not home.
Yeah.
not home. So he goes in there, he looks through the rooms, and he sees, okay, the room's completely clean, bed's made, all that stuff, everything. But what's missing? Let's see. The makeup kit's missing. You go into the bathroom. There's only one toothbrush in there. The other
Or he might
toothbrushes
have,
are gone.
if he's stalking as much as it seems, he could have seen them packing their car,
Mm-hmm.
been able to get other
That
bits
too.
of intel somehow. You know what I mean? Like,
That too.
I don't know. It's pre-internet. And then the internet's over. This is 2000. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he could have been on their MySpace page.
Yeah.
Put a knife in that. He drove around for hours. He'd stop, rape her, drive somewhere else, stop, rape. He did that several times, and then he brought her back near her house, and he actually asked her if she wanted him to call somebody to help her.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, a real gentleman. Kind of like BTK making his victims comfortable before he killed them.
Let me guess. She was upset.
She was upset. Fuck you, BTK. I wish somebody would impale his head with a broken broom handle.
He looked good with this broom handle sticking out of his head.
He'd probably enjoy it sticking out of his ass.
Mm. Well, if that does happen, we know somebody on the inside is watching our show in prison.
or time suck. Or human monster. No, I didn't go there. Did not go there. Didn't go there. But he dropped her off, and took off into the night. I guess probably to his car wherever he had parked it. She drove straight to the police station, still with duct tape on her wrists. DNA was taken from her car, and of course it matched all the others. Then it was quiet again for 6 years.
Damn.
Wow.
Once again, maybe he went somewhere else. Maybe he was killing and disposing of victims. The towns in the first 4 murders were all in a large metropolitan area. But Davis and Chico are areas that are full of vast forest lands. And the next assault in October of 2006 was in Sacramento. And beyond Sacramento is Donner's Pass with lots of mountains and forest.
Well, I mean, not really. It's not that close.
This guy likes to drive, though.
But I mean, no, all of that. It's the Sierra Nevadas, bro. It's the Sierra Nevada mountains, mountain range.
Yeah.
It's.
I've only
it's
been
huge.
I've only been through there a couple times, and that was like 6 years ago. So, yeah, I've only driven.
That's also, yeah.
I've driven up Donner's Pass, and I've driven down it. I think I've driven down it twice, up it once. But
It's a teeny tiny little town. It's basically part of Truckee.
Yeah, but there's my point is there's plenty of places to dump a body there, and it wouldn't be found
Anywhere out there. Yeah, it's vast mountains forever. Like forests. Yeah.
He's smart and he's careful, but he's leaving DNA behind. But he had never been arrested for anything before, so he could leave one of his arms behind and they wouldn't be able to do anything with it.
Right.
He was able to pull off these attacks with no witnesses. And his last rape, he kidnapped the girl. This guy literally could have gotten away with murder for the same reasons that I just listed. And personally, I think he did, but that's just my opinion.
Huh.
I think I really do. I believe that this guy didn't stop, but instead he was killing the victims and disposing of them. But that's just my opinion. He's never even been suspected of that, so it's just an opinion. I wouldn't even call it a hot take. It's just an opinion.
So that was that his last one?
No.
Okay.
He's got 2 more.
2 more.
October 2006, he hit a house with 2 roommates again. One was out, but the other was at home, and she took a shower when she got out.
Where is this?
This is in Sacramento.
In Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. In 2006.
15 years since the first one. He's got a 15-year.
Mm-hmm. But she took a shower, and when she got out, Waller pounced, and he grabbed her, tied her up, put tape over her eyes and mouth, threw her on the bed, and waited. He was waiting for the roommate to get home.
Oh my God.
Roommate did get home, and Waller's car was in her spot in the garage, and she just thought it was a friend's car, so she parked on the street. But I wish she had parked behind him.
Right.
But well, he would have just moved the car anyway. He would have just moved it. But as soon as she entered the garage, Waller pounced, quickly subdued the roommate, tied her up, brought her into the same bedroom that her roommate was in. He raped both of them all night long, switching back and forth between them.
Oh my God.
Damn.
When he was done, he forced them to take showers to remove the DNA from them. And he made it a point to tell them that he knew things about them, like where they worked and what shifts they worked. A neighbor's security camera had picked up a white SUV in the vicinity. This was more than likely Waller's SUV, but put a knife in that.
And this is a very, very interesting case because we're watching the formation of DNA. We're watching the beginning of cameras being everywhere, of the internet. And this is the reason that these people aren't successful as much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I found this story, I was like, yep, doing that one. I'm not even putting that one on my board. Just going to do it. Fast track it. But it was also seen driving away from the area by that same camera at the same time that the women said that he had left the house. And even though the women had cleaned themselves, the police were still able to recover DNA. And of course, it matched the DNA from the other crime scenes. One of the women's blindfolds had slipped, and she got a good look at Waller, so a new sketch was made, and it looked very similar to the one that was made off of Maki's description, but he had gained weight, so he had some chubby cheeks going on,
Mm-hmm.
After this latest attack, 6 different police jurisdictions formed a task force along with the Sacramento Police Department. Sacramento Police, basically took lead of the task force.
Yeah.
They can't bring in the FBI because it doesn't involve multiple states.
Right.
But they took lots of DNA swabs from people, but none panned out. So, and I don't think a criminal is going to voluntarily give a DNA swab to police.
Paul Bernardo did.
Unless it's Sean Mullis.
Richard Byrd.
He'll do it.
Richard Byrd. Check your hairbrush.
There you go.
Oh, God. I'm still in awe of that whole situation. But profilers did join the task force, and on November 21st, 2006, the task force held a press conference. One of the Sacramento victims was there with them, and she spoke. All of the, did I say Sacramento or San Francisco?
Sacramento.
Okay. All of the evidence was laid out, the camera footage of the SUV, all the composite sketches, and the video of him at the mask from the ATM. Tips began flooding in, leads that they were able to follow up on. Other rapes were reported with similar MOs that hadn't been reported before, but all of the leads dried up. Since 2006, there were no more rapes that matched the MO of the NorCal Rapist, and it was cold for 12 more years.
Yeah.
The usual speculations started up within the media and law enforcement. Could he have died, moved away, been arrested for somebody else, or been arrested for something else somewhere else? Maybe had some sort of injury that limited strength and mobility? Or maybe he didn't stop and the crimes just weren't being reported? Or maybe he just started or resumed killing and ditching his victims? That last one was mine. Regardless, the case was dead in the water.
I don't know if this is too much. If you have it, but how old was he when he committed his first crime, and how old was he when he committed his last one?
He was born in 91. He was 31 with the first one. And the last one was 2006. So 60 to 2006, that would have made him 46 with the last one.
Yet.
Yeah. But
does 31 seem old to start as a rapist to you?
It's old to start as a serial killer. I guess, if you're in good shape and everything, you could start.
No, I don't mean like that. I meant mentally. Like, wouldn't you? Do you think the urge would have overtaken you at a younger age earlier?
Well, that's why. Well, number one, I don't think that Nicole in 1991 was his first one.
Yeah.
But something
because he was in her house, right?
Yeah, he was in all of their houses prior to.
Yeah, he had to. That couldn't have. That prepared. That brazen, and
he's gotten away with a lot,
right?
And I think he's gotten away with murder too.
Yeah.
But regardless, this case was. I already said that. But then.
Nice.
A new thing called investigative genetic genealogy was brought into the investigation.
Woohoo!
The Sacramento DA had used this on the Golden State Killer, a case which had been cold since 1970. Golden State Killer was the first cold case to use this genealogy in California, and it may have been the first cold case, period. I don't know. I know it was definitely the first case in California that was solved because of it.
Yeah.
What, Matt, do you think it was?
I don't. I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking of these murders in Texas that were all linked up. You know that with those ones in like the
killing fields?
Yeah, I think so. Like, didn't they use DNA? I think that was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was before.
I don't know.
It was before that.
I have to look at my notes.
But they haven't found anything. The only thing that they found in that was William Reese, and he wasn't really part of that corridor. He had like one victim that he dumped there. All the rest were in between Texas and Oklahoma. That's an interesting.
I'm just
case.
thinking. I'm just trying to remember if there was earlier cold cases. I know there was earlier active cases. Obviously, I don't know.
That's a William Reese. That's a really, really good story. I mean, there was when he was arrested, Oklahoma and Texas were fighting over who got to put him down. But that's a crazy case. Oh, and when he was being extradited to from Oklahoma to Texas or from Texas to Oklahoma to stand trial. And one of the I can't remember which one it was, but the state that was picking him up, they agreed to meet him at this location. At the location of
it was like an old motel or something, right?
No, a car wash where he had killed somebody.
Yeah.
Let's make the exchange.
I saw an epic documentary on that. I can't remember the name of it. What was that?
I don't know, but that's definitely a crazy, lesser known case.
Right.
But, yeah, that guy was a real piece of work. Well, they all are, but still, that guy. I don't know, when they make it interesting, when they make it like sensational or whatever, that's just a different level of chuckleheadery.
Yeah. I mean, the most prolific serial killer in American history is Samuel Little, and he tried to make it as unsensational as he could all the time. I mean, he just went out of his way to find the most marginalized and like always think to himself, who won't be missed?
Right.
And was able to stack up 93 murders. Never, just like this guy, never eventually got caught through DNA long after he was done. He hadn't killed anybody in years.
Or
he was an old man in his 70s, like with gray hair with diabetes and shit.
But Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, was brought down thanks to a family member who had used one of those websites, those ancestry type DNA websites, and it was matched to the DNA on file from the Golden State Killer case. They decided to do the same thing and run the NorCal Rapist DNA through CODIS. GEDmatch is a site that people can upload their DNA to find lost relatives, and lots of like adopted kids will do that. They put the NorCal Rapist DNA into it, and they got a hit.
You say NorCal Racist?
That's his nickname, the NorCal Rapist.
You said racist. I thought you did.
I don't know. Rapist.
Whatever. I'm sorry. The inner editor in me. I'm an editor. I'm like,
you might. I'll send you my books when they're ready to be edited.
I'll send you my bill.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't expect anybody to do anything for free.
True.
But it was a link. The hit that they got was a link to somebody who was related to him. So they began piecing together a family tree based on this relative. Then they eliminated female, obviously. They eliminated people who lived out of state, things like that. Then they started looking for men around the reported age of the rapist at the time when they were happening. Did any of these family members have a gun like the one that was used in the crime registered to them? And after narrowing it down, they had a suspect, Roy Charles Waller. 58-year-old white male who lived in Benicia. Was married with a daughter, worked at UC Berkeley for 25 years. His neighbors.
So he lived in Benicia. Okay.
Yeah,
he grew up there and he lived there. Okay, he just worked in Berkeley.
Well, that's where he lived. He lived in Benicia. I don't know where he grew up. He was born in that Contra Costa, and I don't know if Benicia is part of Contra Costa County or not.
It's near it. I think it's in a different county, but it's right there.
Okay. But his neighbors didn't know much about him because he kept to himself. He didn't seem like a criminal to anybody. He also didn't have any complaints against him from anybody at UC Berkeley.
Really?
Yeah.
And he had the same job for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. But no complaints from students, faculty, or employee, anybody, but put a knife in that. Lots of knives in this episode. He was squeaky clean, a nobody. And police staked him out because while they're sure that they had their guy, they needed a DNA test to match from him to match from the DNA from the crime scene.
Mm.
On garbage day, they retrieved the straw from his trash that had his DNA on it. They ran it, and guess what? It matched the DNA from the crime scenes.
I'm just having such a hard time believing that his hatred of women never manifested itself before in other ways. Because all these guys, he's one of the rare cases where people weren't you know what I mean, coming out and being yeah, he was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because even BTK was still a fucking dick when he was a
he had tons of complaints against him. Yeah.
In his job,
he was torturing women, telling them to clean up their garbage, or he would measure the grass. With,
I was just going to say that he would measure the grass when he was a compliance officer.
Totally insane, man. Totally. Taking people's pets and killing them and
killing them.
Yeah.
Trying to
and
get
a Joseph D'Angelo, he got people are always he's a fucking psycho. They're he couldn't work with other people. They had him work the night shift so he could work alone because he didn't get along with anybody. And but a lot of them. That new guy in Long Island, the Long Island guy,
Lisk, yeah,
he had a long history, and same with the guy in Idaho. That new Brian Keeger, is that his name?
The guy that did that college killing?
Yeah. He had all these women were he was fucking scary. He was fucked because he was a graduate student.
But like I said, put a knife in that. I'll just do another one just for shits and giggles. But
You don't need that thing. I'll do it.
I had to get the sound effects from Psycho for put a knife in it. Yeah, instead of this.
Definitely. Who's that? Harry Manasati or something? Who made that music? That's some classic stuff.
Yeah. But police wanted to catch him on his way to work. So, in a bit of irony or karma, the police began stalking Waller the same way he had stalked his victims, learning his entire routine. So they arrested him without incident, and they took him back to Sacramento, where he was booked and held without bail.
Huh.
Won't get fooled again?
Nope, not with this guy. Maki and Nicole were ecstatic about the news, and they even attended his hearing, and they sat next to each other. When Waller was brought in, he was put in a cage in the courtroom, and he saw them, and even though he was in a cage, it still freaked them out. Obviously. Maki said, what?
The last time got to see my face, I was in fear. This time I got to see his face when he was in fear. I want him to know what I did, what he did. What the hell?
You want to start that over again?
Yeah.
Mark that.
I'm gonna have to bail after this too, because
we're almost done.
You have to go.
We're almost done. We got 3 pages.
Yeah. You'll have to write the ends on this one. So the last time I got to wait. That doesn't even sound right.
The last time he got to see my face. Okay, I made a typo. My bad.
Yeah, you're missing words here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time he got to see my face, I was in fear. This time, I got to see his face when he was in fear. I want him to know what he... Wait, what the fuck?
I want him to know that he did not break me.
I want him to know he did not break me.
Right.
Okay. There we go.
March 7th, 2019, Waller pled not guilty. During the trial, we get a little more familiar with Waller. Apparently, he was cheating on his wife because he was dating a woman named Olga Coy when he committed the Sacramento rapes. And that white that white SUV that was believed to be his, it was her Toyota 4Runner.
Oh, he's using her car to go commit crimes in?
Yeah. Waller was sentenced to 897 years to life in prison.
Damn.
Good. I think it's so crazy the way, like, in the old days, rape didn't get you in trouble.
Mm-mm.
Rape was like considered a victimless crime or something ridiculous, and people would get like months. You get like 4 months for a rape and shit. You're like, are you?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But after he was convicted of kidnapping, forcible rape, oral copulation, sodomy, foreign penetration, and he's currently at the High Desert State Prison. And his attorney after the trial said, "What?
It didn't matter what he did. It was a DNA case that we couldn't overcome. The fact that his DNA was at all the crime scenes."
Yeah, that is a tough one.
Waller maintained his innocence and to the end, and he took the stand in his own defense.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Yes. I told you the trial was going to be fireworks. His attorney probably figured, why the hell not? He's done anyway. But Waller on the stand, he was asked about the bags of women's items that was found, including Teresa's necklace. He said, what?
I did a lot of dating, and I dated this one woman who I'd go out of town with a lot, and had a bag that we could take that had massage oil, bubble bath, bottles of wine, so we could go different places, Waller said. They just got thrown in this bag. She always liked to buy new lingerie, and that's just where we were.
Also, yeah. Okay. Okay.
What's he
Roy.
got, a bag of lube and shit?
Yeah, basically, yeah, women's intimate stuff. So also, while on the stand, he was asked why his DNA was at every crime scene, and he basically used the Shaggy defense, saying, "Wasn't me."
Shit.
He also, in a hilarious bit of word vomit, he was asked about why he had things like rope, zip ties, duct tape, ski mask, gloves, etc. He said, "What?"
I'm a collector of odd things. I even have a a lock picking book. You're trying to twist this. I have nothing to do with this case. Period.
He just admitted that he had a book about how to pick a lock.
I got a lock picking book, book on how to commit rape, and I got a
Raping for dummies.
yeah. I even got a black leather pair of gloves over there and a blood-covered knife and handcuffs.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. When he
There's
was
a dead body in my trunk as well. So what?
When he was asked about all the Asian bondage porn that he had on his computer, he said, "What?"
I've downloaded hundreds, along with many other people. No reason for these pictures to do anything with that case. Well, about this case,
Yeah, he's a wordsmith, this guy.
Yeah.
But all the detectives had the information.
Well, just to be clear, collecting Asian porn does not make you a rapist.
No, it doesn't. But his last victims, all but 3 of his victims were Asian. But also, detectives had his computer information, dozens of emails that he had sent to women looking for female roommates. This is how he began his hunt.
Really?
Yeah. Once he had the address, knowing full well that a woman would be alone, he would begin to stalk them.
Oh my God.
He's also been charged in several burglaries of women's homes where no rapes took place.
After he had gotten caught or during the time period?
I think it's during the time period.
So he didn't have an absolutely clean record either.
No.
He'd been arrested for breaking and entering?
No, this is just stuff that came out later. Like during the trial.
Huh.
But
does he have any other weird priors?
No, I mean, this isn't a prior though. This is just stuff that came out. Probably stuff that they linked to. It's like,
okay.
He did. So
he hadn't been yeah.
Take DNA off of some of this stuff. Holy crap! It's this NorCal Rapist guy.
Right.
Even though no rape took place there, he did rob somebody. Maybe something scared him off, and he decided to abort the mission.
Well, no, Joseph D'Angelo was the same way. He would break into houses and rob all the time. And weird shit, like he would take one cufflink, one shoe, just to fuck with them, stuff like that.
I remember that. We're going back to UC Berkeley here. After the trial, 2 female staffers at UC Berkeley reported that he had stared at them menacingly frequently, and it freaked them out. So they wound up avoiding him at all costs because of that.
There you go.
So he didn't do anything that we know of, but he was thinking about it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like all those years, he had to have shown his. I mean, a psychopath wears a mask. They know what people want to see, and they're able to do it. But they usually let themselves be shown at some point. The monster that's in them. He was definitely able to hide it really well, but they saw it. Those women saw it.
But still, there's no. What was he doing during those cooldown periods? Were there any women that just flat out disappeared in these areas during the cooldown periods? I bet he killed them.
These crimes are so well thought out, so meticulous, so organized. He's obviously an organized offender.
Very organized.
I would be dumbstruck if these weren't just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I know. I swear, I in my heart believe that he is a serial killer.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments. We're almost done. This case set a precedence along with the Golden State Killer, Joseph D'Angelo, not to mention BTK and Willie Pickton, about how valuable of a tool DNA is in these cases. Basically, if you're a murderer or a rapist, you're going to get caught. And
Don't look at me like that when you say that, Bill.
I'm reading my notes.
You're looking right at me, and you're like pointing. He's pointing his finger at me, and he's saying, he's directing this right at me. I am not a killer or a rapist. Damn it.
That we know of. Well, my camera, I have two screens here. My video's on that one, and my notes are on this one. My camera
He's
is
holding
also
up a
on
piece
this
of paper that says, I know you're a killer.
Yeah.
Why?
I know you did it. Well, you do a true crime podcast. Oh, wait. Never mind. Strike that from the record.
Have any podcasters ever been serial killers? Has that happened yet? I mean, the odds are it's going to happen one day.
It's going to happen one day.
And that's just like if you put enough monkeys in a room, one of them will type up Shakespeare. You know, it's just like,
And
eventually.
I want to be the podcast that covers it first if it does happen. I don't want it to happen, obviously, because I don't want people to get killed. But if it happens, I want to be the podcast that breaks it.
I don't.
No, I want to be. Yeah, because it's your podcast. Oh,
Wow. Foiled again.
But basically, if you're a murderer or a rapist, you're going to get caught. If you've gotten away with a murder or a rape for years, you better hope a relative of yours doesn't ever sign up for Ancestry.com.
And he's holding up a piece of paper saying, I know it's you, Matthew.
The thing is, I wish I actually was. But that's it. That's what I got.
You should bring guests on the show and do that. Like be in the middle of talking to them and then like hold up a piece of paper and be like, I know you're the killer.
Yeah.
We're going to call you out in a minute to see their reaction. No, one could just break down and confess to something.
Yeah.
You got me.
I was thinking about a oh, okay. You want to hear something, Florida? You know how at the bottom of your computer, it'll show you the weather, like what the temperature is outside. Right now, mine says very hot weather. That's what mine says. Where the temperature usually is. We're in Florida. It's hot, but Florida.
Like we have the rain up here, and so they've had we get bouts of rain, we get showers, we get drizzles. It's like every kind of rain you could think, mists, and then they'll do it for a daily. It'll be like, well, in the morning you'll have drizzles, followed by a downpour, followed by mist, followed by a bout of rain. You know, like this is the daily Pacific Northwest.
So, but yeah, what a crazy, insane case. I mean, it's just, yeah.
I want to know more about this guy.
I do too. I want to know his thing. You know, I want to know about his childhood. I know, Paul. I know you got to go.
Yeah, I got to take a meeting in about. Actually,
okay. Go ahead.
I'm texting him right now, so I definitely have to chime out.
Okay. Once you stop the recording, we'll still be on, right? Me and Matt?
I'm just gonna leave. You stop it.
Okay. Cool. Okay. You just go ahead and say that, and then I'll give you the timestamps and everything, so that you can put yours at the end. Just go ahead and say the goodbye stuff.
All right. Go. Please like, follow, share, and if listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. Over and out.
All right. And until next week. Later.
Later.
Ciao.